So if you saw the short, you've made it over here to the video to see how long does it take to get all this stuff on. We get asked this at most of the living history stuff we go to, even by people in some of the other organizations who may or may not wear everything that they were wearing. I'm wearing berets and a St. Louis shirt, St. Louis style. The guy, actual Saint, as opposed to the town. It is a simple, loose-fitted linen shirt. It has little doors in the bottom so that it blouses on the bottom. I tuck mine into my berets. It seems to help keep the shorts themselves from falling down. The shorts themselves are basically just a linen boxer style short. This particular pair are a little longer than this pair. There's some variation, but they're both 14th century styles, but simple linen shorts. They're close to your body, they're soft, they're comfortable. They allow easy access to using the restroom if you need to. There's a little drawstring in the front, you undraw them and it works just like pants. So what goes on next? Well, I've got on my little berets and I've got on my St. Louis shirt and I'm in all my linen, but for the purposes of this particular one, I'm a wealthier person and I'm going to get dressed to go into my lands and walk about and see the people who live in my tenants and as my tenants and things like that. So I'm going to be wearing a better off kind of impression, not necessarily a peasant, but somebody who's a little more well-to-do, but I still have to start with the same basic clothing. So you next go to your hosen. The hosen are almost always wool. These are fairly simple. They're just a big gray-green. And these are a summer weight wool, and they're cut on the bias, so they're a little bit stretchy. They don't have spandex, they don't have lycra, but they wanted to fit to the body. But since I'm doing Scottish, I'm going to go with my nice plaid ones. If you really want to get into exactly how plaid fits into medieval Scotland as opposed to early modern Scotland, go check out Bruce Foomy's pages. He will go through the exact origins of how all these clans got assigned to tartan, and it's not what you think. But I don't have 2 hours to go through that right now. So this tartan is just a nice tartan. It's a nice mid-weight wool. It's very soft, it's not scratchy, and they basically go on like big socks. So they're not wearing tights, contrary to what a lot of your movies in the 50s and 60s would have told you. There's a little top with a hole in it, and I tie the big socks to the shorts. So now I'm basically wearing fitted pants and linen shorts. So the wool is durable and it keeps my legs warm. Wisconsin, where we are, probably has a comparable climate to most of Western Europe. It's pretty far north. It's lots of hardwood forests and it gets really, really cold. A lot. So for most Americans don't seem to realize how far north most of Europe is, and especially during the Middle Ages, there's this thing called the Little Ice Age. It's cold. It's cold there a lot, especially during that period. So you see a lot of wool and a lot of layers. So now I have on my pants and my giant socks. So what comes on next? Well, I could put my shoes on next. What kind of shoes would I put on? If I'm just walking around or I'm going to be wearing a wooden overshoe called a patten, I might throw on my turn shoes, which are basically a slipper. They have a worsted wool insert, a felted wool insert, not a worsted wool, felted wool insert. And these are just for walking around, simple slippers, but that's not what I'm going to put on, either for this outfit or next. So the next thing I'm going to put on is my next outer garment. So I need a heavier outer garment. I can't walk around in just this linen tunic. So I'm going to go to my coat hardie. This is a mid to late 14th century garment. This one again is wool. It has silver buttons. It has a linen liner. It is made by Historic Enterprises. And this stuff holds up. I would guess this particular garment is over 20 years old. I have been wearing it for quite a while, and it goes on like a jacket. So you'll see all these different fantasy movies and fantasy things where they're wearing these big giant cloaks and it's cold. They had coats. They had actual jackets and pants. They're not just wrapping themselves up in fur. You'll also notice the Scots are usually depicted as fur-covered cavemen, even in the 16th and 17th century in movies like Highlander. No. 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 Bad Hollywood. Bad. Get me the squirt bottle. But, yeah, they wore a lot of wool. They actually took the fur off the animals and cured the hides and made it into leather. They didn't just wear big swaths of animal skin. So I'm going to be finishing button the 3,000 buttons on the Coat RD. And this will be the majority of the time spent in the video. It is a very fitted garment, and it makes you have a proper posture. So if I start to slouch, it starts to bag up and move around. So it makes you stand in that proper nobleman stance, where your nose is in the air and your back is straight. Now, it's actually specifically a fitted garment, and it's supposed to fit and hold you in a certain fashion. I'm just glad I can still wear this thing after like 22 years. So I've got most of the buttons on, Okay, I'm getting tired of buttoning. You can see my little plaid is under here. I'm going to go a couple more because I want to hide my small clothes. I don't want to be indecent and show my brays. Geoffrey de Charnay writes that the young men are wearing their hems oh so high that you may see their small clothes and how indecent it is. He died at Poitiers. He was the captain of the Order of the Star. Very famous French knight. Look him up. He was quite outstanding. He wrote a lovely book. So now I'm going to go and put on my buskins. So I'm going to be out and about. So I'm still dressing my station, but I'm going to be out and about. So I'm going to wear my very nice riding boots as I will be finding my horse. I don't really have a horse. And sallying forth across my acreage to survey it. So I'll put on my buskins, my boots. Note that they're not gray and brown and drab and ugly, because medieval clothes, based on the handful of examples and the plethora of medieval artwork depictions, were colorful and bright. They liked bright colors. It showed wealth, it showed station, and it's also just more fun than everything being gray and covered in crap. Bad Hollywood, bad. It's great. So now I have on my lovely bright yellow buskin boots that you will know I'm a man of means who can purchase a brightly colored garment and a well-colored outer garment with my silver buttons. I need to continue my accoutrement. Well, I'm going to put on a coif. It must protect my hair and help keep the lice away from those, keep it off of me from those filthy commoners. They're not really filthy. And then eventually I will be putting on a hat as well. So I'm moving on to my belt. Well, I want to show that I am a man of means. I actually have something else to put on next. I put on my coif too soon. My belt. The belt is velvet and bright blue and covered with gold-plated bronze that is enameled. So again, showing my wealth and station in a manner that is convenient to wear and convenient to carry. Boop, 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 boop. And I clasp it. Note that it does not have a big steel ring on it. It has an actual buckle. Medieval belts had buckles. But there's no tongue in this one I saw in the museum. There's no belt on it either because it's 800 years old. The buckle had a tongue in it when it was new. That's what the little groove is for. That's what the hinge is for. And I flip it around so that it doesn't bang into my knees. Now I'm mostly dressed. But I'm going to be about, and I might need a small tool. I will get a small eating knife. This may not be quite in keeping with the station. I would probably not necessarily carry this, but almost everybody had a small knife of some kind. I'm going to very quickly just loop it through for the purposes of convenience. And we must count the hours during the day. We must show our reverence. So I've got my silver, very nice paternoster, which I will wrap through. Note there's also not 32 pouches and a bunch of pieces of fabric hanging off. I have a small knife and I have a paternoster. I might, since being a member of the nobility, you're part of the class of those who fight. If I am worried of ruffians, I may carry a dagger, my rondel dagger. I could slip through the belt. I might even wear a sword on a separate belt, but I can pop it through and lock it in, lock it in, lock it in, lock it in. So this is about as much as I would probably have hanging from my belt. I might have a pouch. I might put the pouch inside my coat or carry it in other ways because you don't want people taking your money. But if I'm on my own lands, it's just like walking around in my yard. I'm not going to get my wallet and my keys and my cell phone, my EDC, and a pocket knife to walk to my garage. If I'm writing about my lands, and then I don't need to carry my money, my paten of arms, a sword, a retinue, a lance, a kestrel of water, and a feast setting with me if I'm just writing about my business for the day. So going back to the coif, I will coif my head. Oh, but wait, it is chilly about. So if it is chilly about, then I must get my bicocket hat. And I get my bicocket, and this is a nice pointy one, it's well cut, and I am almost completely dressed. But it is chilly about, so I need to wear, oh, I'm going to wear a cloak? No, I'm going to wear a coat. It's a wool coat, it's a watch coat, or an outer coat, and I can simply, I could belt it, I could close it and wear the belt over that, or I can simply put it about myself, loop, could add another belt, I could close it up, I can wear it open, I can tuck it back, I can do the hustle. There's all kinds of things that you can do. And I believe I have everything on that I wanted to put on for this particular outfit. Note that it's brightly colored. I have the medieval boots, I have the belt, not the giant wide belt, no big steel ring, not lots of stuff hanging off of it. Everything is wool, everything is linen lined or has a linen layer under it. I could also put a hood on over this, but this is generally the more upper middle class or lower upper class portrayal that you might find. Writing about on my lands, I could be a knight, I could be a wealthy merchant, I could be any of those things. And that's pretty much the Code Hardy outfit. Might flip these back because I have a little short arms. And oh, I don't have a ring on. I have my silly ring on. Anyway, I would also probably wear some type of ring, either maybe a signet ring. I could also have a collar of state on if I had an official office or was a member of an order. But this is more of an everyday, not necessarily just knocking around the estate, but going about my business. So if you're out and you're tilling the field and the Lord rides by, yes, yes, and I wave to the peasants as they go by, as I go by on my mighty steed. This is more of a just day-to-day kind of clothing for somebody who's better off than the commoners, but maybe not quite right. There we go. Not quite right. Maybe not quite as high up in the social order as your royalty. So I'm not a poor person, but I am not the richest of the rich, as I am accoutramented at the moment. So be sure to like and subscribe. And now we're going to put on more of the everyday guy, the more blue collar outfit of the Middle Ages.